Welcome to another live stream in this Crypto Adoption Week that we are organizing together with Ernst & Young, K33, Nordic Blockchain Association, and myself. I'm representing Cooper, which is then a Nordic media in this space. And together today, we will then present the results from the Nordic survey from Finland. We have already had 2 live streams that you can still view as a recording from Sweden on Monday, from Denmark yesterday, and also this live event will also then be available as a recording after the event. And tomorrow we will have several agendas because we will present the Norwegian results. And in that case, we also have some years to compare with because Ernst & Young and K33 have done this survey in Norway for several years. But we will also give an overview of all the Nordic findings and also see the differences and the likeness between them. And even tomorrow in Norway, there will also be a tax webinar, which of course then is in Norwegian, where we will try to give some advice together with the Norwegian Skatteetaten, the Norwegian tax authorities, regarding how they can deliver their tax results for the last year. Today, we also have then Nordic Blockchain Association represented. So welcome, Robert Tolle, which is then representing then the Nordic Blockchain Association in Finland. Are you there, Robert? Yeah. Could you just...
Yes.
Because you are then one of 2 representatives, I think, maybe in the Finland community. And the first question is a short presentation of yourself, and then you can also talk to us about what is Nordic Blockchain Association.
Right. Thank you, Morten. My name is Robert, and I've been part of Nordic Blockchain Association in Finland for a year with Kevin Suraka, my dear colleague. And then I also work at EY, tax and law in the blockchain field.
Yeah, just continue then and talk to the viewers about the Nordic Blockchain Association. What is it? Because perhaps people believe that maybe it has a hub in Denmark, but it has been also moving more actively into the other Nordic countries, also Norway and Sweden and Finland.
Yes. So our headquarters is in Copenhagen. And then last year we started to expand into other parts in the Nordics. So in Sweden we have Cesar. In Norway we have Magnus Jones, and then Denmark we've got a big team over there. And so we're a non-profit organization, and we're facilitating the largest professional Web3 network in the Nordics. And we unite thought leaders, businesses through memberships, regulatory work, and events. And the idea is to drive responsible and suitable growth of blockchain technology through education, advocacy, and collaboration. And we want to advance the development of supportive legislation, infrastructure, and a vibrant ecosystem which empowers and harnesses the full potential of the blockchain technology in the Nordics. And every year we have a Nordic Blockchain Conference, and this year it's in June 19th and 20th in Copenhagen. And this year is going to be even bigger than last year, so hope to see everyone over there.
I also wanted to ask you, Robert, the importance of this survey. How important is it to have some type of overview of what is the situation in this space in the Nordics altogether, and even in the new countries right now, Finland, Sweden, and Denmark?
Yeah, so it gives us a really valuable insight into the current state and trends of the cryptocurrency markets in the Nordic countries and in Finland. And this helps us to understand the popularity of these currencies across different demographics. And then by analyzing the age brackets, it offers us a deeper look into which demographic groups are the most active in using cryptocurrencies, which can influence then marketing and service development in the field. And then also it helps us to do legislations and other activities.
Yes, that is great, Robert. Robert will also take part of the panel discussion that we will have a little later in this stream. But then we will have up on the stage Anders Helseth from K33 and Mats Ribe from Ernst & Young. And these are representatives from the companies that has been doing this survey for some years, and also this time both for the Nordic part and for the each of the countries. And maybe you could start then, Mats, and tell the viewers who you are.
Thank you so much, Morten. So my name is Mats Ribe, associate partner and leading the digital law and AI practice here in Norway. At EY, we have supported the blockchain and crypto space since 2015, supporting really with both on the technical sides, from tokenomics until the tax and legal side. And it's really kind of interesting space to be in, especially now with new regulations coming into play with the Marketing Crypto Assets Act coming in this year in the EU. And we're really happy to be able to support the community now with some credible results from not only Norway in terms of adoption, but actually all of the Nordic countries. So today we're going to do Finland, and really looking forward to reveal the results today together with Anders from K33. Over to you, Anders.
Yes, thank you, Mats. Yes, my name is Anders Helseth, and I'm the head of research at K33. K33 was formerly known as Arcane Crypto, so some of you might know us by that name. We do three things at K33. We do crypto research, which is the department I'm leading. We have an automatic brokerage, which is a very good service if you want to buy or sell larger amounts of crypto. And we also have an investment fund where we aim to and do consistently beat Bitcoin, which is the aim of that index fund. So that is what we do at K33. And with that said, we would love to show you the results from our Finnish crypto adoption survey. And let's dive right into the high-level numbers. We have done a representative survey using Norstat in the entire Nordics. So we have a great survey which should be really representative. So the numbers are trustable. When we look at Finland, we find that there are 300,000 Finnish crypto owners. That equates to 7% of the population. This result is similar to what we found in Sweden and Denmark, which I have presented the previous days, where also the ownership rate is 7%. We have run the survey in Norway for many years, and if you look at the survey results from Norway from last year, the crypto ownership rate in Norway was slightly higher at 8%. So we have Sweden, Finland, and Denmark at the same rate, and Norway slightly above as it stands now. We are going to go deeper into the demographics of this crypto ownership in Finland, so I can leave you with just a little taste of the demographics before we move on. And that we see that crypto ownership is more common among people in the cities. and also that crypto ownership is correlated with education and income, and it's positively correlated. So that the more educated and the higher income you have, the higher the likelihood of you owning cryptocurrency if you live in Finland.
Now looking at the age brackets, we see that it's mainly young adults owning crypto, but actually quite even split out between 18 to 29 and 30 to 39. This is, I guess, somewhat not surprising in the sense that, you know, young people tend to be following the trends and more tech savvy potentially. But it's interesting to see that as opposed to, for instance, Sweden, that was presented on Monday, it was dominated by the millennial generation, while in Finland, it's more similar to Norway last year, because then you have a more equal relationship between the millennial and the younger adults from 30 to 39. Now, we actually also see quite a significant number for the 50 to 59 year bracket. 7% of the Finnish population in that bracket owns crypto, which I believe is quite high and much higher than what we have seen in the other Nordic countries so far.
Definitely. So the 50 to 60-year-olds in Finland, they love crypto, in relative terms. Diving deeper into the demographics, we can see how the gender gap is in crypto ownership, how many men versus women own crypto. And like overall, all the Finnish crypto owners, under a quarter are women. If you look at it gender by gender and see the ownership rates among the genders, you can see the chart here that 11% of Finnish men own crypto, whereas the same number for women is 3%. So we have a significant gender gap here. What we also see is that we have asked the respondents when they first bought crypto. What we see from those results is that even though the gender gap is big, it is closing in Finland. A much larger share of the female owners report having bought crypto in the latter years than the same results for men. This gender gap we observe here is nothing unique for crypto. If you look at stocks, for instance, you will also find quite a large gender gap in that men are more likely to own stocks than women. From the stock results we have looked at, the ratio is more of a slightly above 2 to 1 than the 3 to 1 we have here. With the 3% number is 3 points close to 5. So the ratio is 3 to 1 and not 4 to 1 here. So the gender gap is slightly bigger in crypto ownership than, for instance, stock ownership, but it follows the same general trend that men are more likely to invest.
Now, with the females buying crypto for the first time in the late couple of years, we see that there are some significant numbers of Finns who actually were quite early adopters and bought crypto 9% before 2016. That's quite significant. It's quite similar to what we see, for instance, for Sweden. But what is special for Finland is that you see a significant 16% of the population bought crypto in 2017. So that was a really, really high number compared to the other Nordic countries. And it was perhaps done during what we call, the initial coin offering wave that we saw run through globally, right, in 2017, 2018. That many Finns had a high risk appetite and bought crypto in those years. Now, following that, there was quite a significant drop down with the crypto winter in the coming years. But then we see then from 2020 and especially during COVID, a significant rise again with the Finnish population owning crypto. So crypto really reached mainstream during COVID. With people staying at home, interest rates were low, and people had perhaps more time in diving into the specific technical nature of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, which is quite similar to what we have seen then in Sweden and Denmark this year, and also from the Norwegian survey last year, is that during COVID, you saw a significant rise in the population actually then investing into crypto and believing in that particular asset class.
Definitely, and as Mats says, this is a very common pattern we'd probably find all over the world, except for the 2017 spike we observe in Finland, which is quite interesting. We have also asked the respondents what their plans for the future regarding cryptocurrencies are. And this question we have asked to all respondents, whether they want to buy or they plan to buy crypto within the next 10 years. And running that question, we find that a lot of people are positive towards crypto. We had the current ownership rate at 7%, whereas when we ask the Finnish, do you plan to buy cryptocurrency within the next 10 years? A quarter, 24%, state that they plan to buy cryptocurrency within the next 10 years. If that happens, that would equate to 1 million Finnish crypto owners in 2034. Regarding the timing of this purchase, when they plan to do it, we have it in the left chart here, where 6% says that they plan to buy it in the coming year, a further 5% within the next 3 years, a further 4% within the next 5 years, and almost 10%, 9% that will buy it from 5 to 10 years on from now, as they plan it currently. Of course, people don't know exactly what they will do in the future, and especially the distant future. So the only thing we know is that this probably will not be the result. But still, it gives a great indication on how people view cryptocurrency, where we can see that 3/4 of the population, they are kind of, let's say, negative towards crypto at the current moment. They stating they will never buy crypto, whereas 25% is more positive. They believe that they will buy crypto in the next 10 years. And if we had run this survey 5 years ago and asked within the next 15 years, do you plan to buy crypto? That response would probably be a lot lower. So we both hope and do believe that the adoption rate will grow even faster than this, but still it's a great indication of the current sentiment towards crypto.
Now, where do Finns buy their crypto? Well, we see that there are the international exchanges leading the pack, especially with Binance having 1/3 of the market in Finland. That is quite similar to some of the other Nordic countries. But we see Binance leading over Coinbase as opposed to as opposed to Sweden and Denmark. But in Finland, we see a local exchange, CoinMotion, who has a significant 31% of the market. This is quite similar to what we saw from Norway last year, but is something different than what we see in Sweden and Denmark currently, where there's no such significant amount of people buying from local exchanges. So in Finland, there's a specific local exchange that has gained lots of attention, but this is still in heavy competition with the other international exchanges. I can also highlight that we see 11% owning are investing through securitized products such as ETFs and ETPs. That is quite significant as opposed to many of the other Nordic countries. But in Sweden, there was actually 1/4 owning such products. So it's not as big as Sweden, but still quite a significant amount of the Finnish population have chosen to invest in those securitized products.
Yes. And now we have presented the main findings from our report for you. And as Morten and Mats have already stated, these reports will be published tomorrow, where we will publish a report per country with a Nordic comparison included, and also a report for the entire Nordics along the same lines. So to sum up now, so if you are just going to remember a few things, I have the things you should remember here. And that is, we find that 300,000 Finnish own crypto, 7% of the adult population. The crypto owners are young, 2/3 are under 40. There is a significant gender gap in crypto ownership, where almost 3 times as many men own crypto as women. Many are positive towards crypto and plan to buy in the future from the people that do not own crypto currently. So when we ask people, 25% or 24% state that they plan to buy crypto within the next 10 years in Finland.
Thank you very much, Anders and Mats, for a great presentation. And then I just wanted to ask you guys, are you surprised, or what is are these results related to when you planned it and when you have the Norwegian results as a historical background? What were your expectations and what happened with them?
Oh, yes, that is from my side. I see that it somewhat meets the expectation in terms of the number of Finns owning crypto, because we saw kind of similar numbers, right, in Norway last year. But it's always kind of good to have that expectation being confirmed. And so that's why it's really interesting to be able to actually have these surveys to see whether or not kind of the expectation is confirmed. But there's definitely some interesting numbers, right, relating to Finns as opposed to the other Nordic countries. And that is kind of interesting. You see some variations, right, when you present the different reports.
If you maybe then, Anders, could reiterate what is standing out in this report in your view, because we have people coming on as viewers as we have been presenting the results.
Yes, generally, I would say the thing that stands out is not that unexpected, but we have a very clear evidence for it now. And that is that a lot of people actually own cryptocurrencies. 7% of the population as a whole is quite a lot. And if we go to the younger age groups, more than 1 in 10 own crypto. So that is, I would say, fun to have that actually the evidence for it. The gender gap is not surprising either, but it is slightly bigger than stocks. I'm not sure if I would have guessed that prior, maybe because it's more crypto, gaming. There's a bit more overlap of interests there, and that is even more skewed. I also find which exchanges is being used when you compare the different countries to be quite interesting, where Denmark is a matter of definition because they have pegged their currency towards the euro. But you see that in the countries with their own currency, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Finland with the euro, it doesn't seem that is defining for which exchanges are being used. I find that a bit interesting.
Thank you, Anders and Mats. And then we move on to the second part of this stream. Mats and others will also have the possibility to come back and comment. But we will then now welcome all the guests from the local community in Finland. So we can bring them all on, Rory, and we can then let them present themselves rather shortly. So if you start and Lucas, who are you and what are you working on and what type of company are you working in?
Great. Thank you, Morten, for the invitation to join in today. So I'm Lucas. I work at FinTech Farm Helsinki as a product manager, and maybe we're a bit untypical compared to the other guests today, but we offer services and events and upskilling for our member organizations and beyond. So ranging from fintech startups all the way to large international banks.
Yes, and maybe Jonas, you could continue.
Yes, thank you from my behalf as well. My name is Jonas Järvinen. I'm one of the co-founders of Kwan. We are Finnish FinFSA-regulated cryptocurrency service provider. We offer brokerage custody and also asset management, which is still towards the professional investors. And we are quite newcomer, but I've been personally in the sector for 6 years, so also kind of interested to see the results first time from Finland. So happy to participate.
Maybe you could continue then, Sven.
Yes, of course. My name is Sven Martinsson. I am the CEO and founder of Valega Chain Analytics. We're exactly what it sounds like, an analytics firms for cryptocurrencies, mainly working with the compliance and basically doing detective work, investigations, preventing financing of terrorism, war profiteering, and the likes within the field. And also happy to see so many friendly faces here in this event as well.
And then we can move on to Thomas. And after you have presented yourself, you can continue and answer the question, what is the main finding that stands out in your view?
Yes, so hello everybody. My name is Thomas Brand and I head our institutional sales and research at CoinMotion, the oldest cryptocurrency brokerage company in the Nordics, and mainly serving our institutional and professional clients. I think that overall we already have some proxy results when it comes down to the adoption levels in Finland. Those can be proxied out of the tax authorities' information, what they provide about the estimated adoption level in Finland. But of course, like these results mainly mirror the retail sector. It is not so clear cut, especially with the professional investors, that how do they perceive crypto assets in general. I think that the 300,000 is very much in line with the previous expectations. There can be some, of course, like smaller, bigger errors, but overall, I think that the most important thing to keep in mind is that the disposable income is also higher when you are in a working life stage. So it is very much aligned, all the theoretical results that we have regarding the investor behavior. And one thing that I think that is missing, like overall picture, is that what is the perceived use case of the crypto asset. We have also some results, for example, from Bank of Canada and also from on-chain, like to use and understand that how the use cases for crypto assets have changed. We can see that, for example, the use for medium of exchange is going down, and at the same time we see that, for example, for Bitcoin, to see it as this kind of speculative asset, emerging value, store of value is arising, or for example for Ethereum that it's more perceived as a technology gamble or technology platform. So overall, I think that the results are very much aligned with the previous things. But I'm a bit skeptical that will we see like 1 million crypto users per se in Finland in 2030.
Maybe some of your comments can be an inspiration for Anders and Matt regarding next year's survey. We can maybe hear from that afterwards. But then we can continue with you, Sven. What stands out in your view regarding these findings?
Yeah, absolutely. Like actually, we did run a survey in the beginning of last year as well, where we were basically predicting what 2023 would look like in Finland, and we had predicted somewhere between 250,000 to 300,000 users. So good to get that confirmed that it was pretty much around those numbers. And something that we do see is, so it's not unexpected. But something that we do see happening quite a lot, especially when we're looking at like Sweden and Norway, was that there were a lot more users than were actually registered in a way. And that is because, when we're looking at these kind of data, it's like how many people are onboarded to the exchanges, how many people have done their KYC properly, the know your customer process, as well as how many people declared their taxes, right? So usually what we would see is that it would be a bit higher than what the numbers actually show from official data, right? So it's pretty interesting to see this. And of course, one part that we have noticed coming out of Finland is the amount of crime that has actually been happening within cryptocurrencies, not only in Finland, but across the whole Nordics. And it's quite usual then, when you see a spike in a new form of investment, to then also see a small spike in the crime rates. So this is something that has been growing, and it's quite interesting for us to actually be able to work with that and see where this is headed, in general terms, especially when we do see quite a lot of media that has had the mindset that, cryptocurrencies is, a scammer's tool and it's not real and such. But then we do see that, something between 80 to 85% of all traders are fully legit green traders, and the actual percentage of scams happening globally is actually quite low, and it plays into the Finnish mindset as well.
That is also, of course, part of the adoption, also the impression in the media and among politicians and everywhere. But it's good to then have some facts and figures to maybe support things with. Maybe we could continue with you then, Jonas, your main takeout from this survey.
Yes, so I would agree that overall it's quite aligned what we've seen elsewhere on the surveys, and of course we haven't had a specific survey concerned in the Nordics or Finland in the past, kind of to this extent. But I think the numbers are quite aligned what we see elsewhere and with the previous surveys, and I think a couple of the points, of course, reinforces the empirical evidence that we have had during the years in the sector. So the gender kind of divide is quite clear that we have experienced quite heavily with the empirical evidence as well. And then, of course, the generational split there. So it's still dominated by the younger adults and millennials, but we are gradually kind of moving upwards on the generational adaptation. I think still the issues are within the public debate and public perception still in Finland, because the discussions in the media and the investment communities are still quite tied to the negativities or the hype of the price and so on. So I think we still kind of require some more kind of true rough and more kind of research-based discussions around Bitcoin and other stuff as well in order to kind of get there. And when it comes to the adaptation in the future, I think it might not be that black and white with how the exposure will be gotten. So it can be the direct investments as within this survey has pointed that it is the most popular way, but also the securitized products and investment products that will give you an indirect exposure. Of course, that would be the natural path for I would say the older generation to adopt those if they are part of their current kind of wealth management model portfolios or whatever in the future. But I think the results are overall quite aligned what we have seen and feel in the empirical evidence that we have had.
Then let us hear from you, Lucas. And what is your main takeout from these findings?
Sure. So I would say nothing shocking. I wasn't shocked by this, but maybe I expected, and I'm not as in the industry as these other commentators are, but so I don't have like these juicy behind the scenes insights, but I maybe would have expected it to be a bit higher already, the percentage of Finns who own crypto. I think I've seen some Statista report already last year that maybe estimated it a bit higher. But yeah, maybe looking around, it could be also influenced by who's in my circles and bubbles and who I'm speaking to, and lots of threads to pull at. Lots of good kind of takeaways already presented. Maybe I would I would continue on, Jonas, what you mentioned about the sentiment, and maybe pull a bit at this thread at the 76%, if I remember correctly, that will never buy crypto, and kind of try to understand, like, yeah, it would be interesting to know like what the arguments are behind that, who to get me to say that I would never do anything ever in the future. I mean, there are quite a few things on that list, so it's just a intriguing statement.
Thank you. And we will also hear from Robert, and then you will not comment as a representative of Nordic Blockchain Association, but your impression of the results based on that you are also living in Finland.
Yeah, well, I find that around the 300,000 cryptocurrency users in Finland, that 7% of the population pretty much aligns with the narrative of increasingly the adoption of cryptocurrency globally. But it also does highlight the unique characteristics of the Finnish market. And then in my personal bubble, it does seem much higher, but of course, due to my own interests, I've been spreading also the gospel of virtual currencies. But yeah, it's good that we have these surveys, and I personally think that we can hit the 1 million, but probably not yet by 2030.
Okay, then thank you. Then we will follow up with a couple of other questions, and in the next part of the conversation, also Mats and Anders will lean into the talk sometimes. But I wanted to know from Thomas, a market share of 31% of what it was is rather large, and maybe compared also in Norway, it would be FIDI. And as some of you guys have also already mentioned, this is, of course, then will reflect the retail part, because we are asking people, we are not asking companies, if you understand, and not asking wealth managers or fund managers either. But how have you succeeded in getting that traction in Finland, do you think, Thomas?
I think that is related to like several factors that in the previous like the results that were presented, that we saw that there were two major like adoption cycles in Finland. One was during the so-called ICO boom in 2016-2017, and also during the COVID era. And of course, like the on and off-ramp solutions have advanced a lot. But of course, there is also this kind of industrial economics in play, that there is a dominant player in the market, and there is a lot of good competitors, both locally and globally. One thing that I also want to highlight is that these users that we are now like seeing through the results, they are like shown as a one bundle of users, but we don't know exactly that how enthusiastic they are about the future of crypto assets and how they perceive it. And there is always this kind of like Pareto distribution that by 20%, 80% is going to happen. So I think that there is like this kind of critical mass is already there. But I want to underline what Jonas was very like carefully articulating earlier, that there is a lot of work to be done. And also what Lucas was pointing out, that inside our own bubbles, there can be this kind of over enthusiasm or over pessimism about the adoption of the crypto assets. And my hypothesis is very much aligned with Jonas, that for the traditional investors that are not so much like about the crypto evangelism and stuff like that, they will see that, okay, these assets are a new unique asset class. They have different kinds of sectors and industries that they serve. They have unique characteristics, and they can bring in like valuable services for the investors, diversifying, uncorrelated. They improve your Sharpe ratio, etc., etc. But I think that there are numerous things that are affecting the overall adoption. But of course, in the local market, we have been the dominant player with a very user-friendly, simple interface, easy to use, things like that.
You guys are commenting on these ETFs or ETPs, which is called maybe then in Europe, and we have seen from the results that the main difference is between Norway and the other countries, and for instance in Sweden, which was quite a large also a market share, and we have this buzz from the States regarding the ETFs, which also has driven a lot of the momentum on Bitcoin and also in the industry. Is this a way going forward then, Jonas, or are there other products and that, for instance, can get the more wealthy people, the family offices and the asset managers on board? How do you view that?
Yeah, I think that's a kind of how we see as the kind of future as well, because of course if you do a securitized products, it kind of fits to your whatever operational setup you have in the investment side, so it's easier to adopt. And of course with the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs now in the US, we see that they will be gradually now be kind of coming into the model portfolios and to the certain retirement investment accounts as well, where there are restrictions what kind of instruments you can have. So we still have certain restrictions among the investment community to open up the direct investment account on cryptos or do the direct investments, and of course that would be always an active decision to kind of add on something new on the investment side. So it would be easier to just tap to those products directly via your brokerage account or via your wealth managers in the wealth management service providers in the future. So I think that's going to be a parallel approach how to get exposure to the sector, and of course then it's kind of a traditional way of getting the exposure. And what one note on the ETF and ETP adoption is that even though we have had a lot of hype regarding the US ETFs, of course in Europe the situation has been completely different. We have had these ETP products since 2015, so almost 10 years in Europe, and we are by far much farther down the road with the product innovation as well. So we have single asset ETPs, we have even staked ETPs, index products, and some smart beta index products coming out as well. So I think we are by far, it's not too well known, but in Europe we have those products, and there are multiple of those. I think close to 50 products already in the market. So it's quite, I think the access to the market is there in Europe. So it's not about that anymore.
I have a follow-up also to you, Sven, maybe also then related to more professional investors, perhaps, because if you compare the TradFi sector with the crypto, all the TradFi people says that there is no value here. You can't make cash flow analytics. You can't make any type of analytics. And if you are analytical firms, could you share some views of where is the industry on analytics right now, and how can it help people getting on board with more knowledge?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that is the classic statement, right? TradFi versus crypto or DeFi, right? But generally, I would say that there is a lot of data out there. Even the sense of saying that crypto is anonymous and you cannot trace it is erroneous, right? We do see that it's actually the most transparent form of trading in a way, where you can trace everything down to the first Bitcoin and actually run analytics on that. I mean, even most exchanges will have their own data analytics on the market itself, where you can actually do your common day trading kind of work within crypto. And of course, with the versatility that you see, the good traders will be able to make quite a good return on that based on that data. And we do see that it is quite consistent especially from looking from 2016 onwards, where everything started really booming. We do see a pretty decent trend with how crypto is doing. So I do believe that more investors will come in now with the new regulations coming up. That is markets and crypto assets, making everything a bit safer, making it more equipped for traders to actually work with this. They will have the full data set. They will have the whole scope on, what is suspicious, what is illicit, what are dangerous trades, all at their disposal to be able to do good trades within the market.
Then I also would hear something more from Lucas, and you have mentioned that you are not typical part of this panel. So maybe Rory, we can get also Lucas on board on the panel. But you are a fintech guy, and when I'm quite new into the space, I'm totally honest about that. I'm only 2 or 3 years old in this relationship. And we can see that there's something happening in the TradFi. There's something happening also in fintech, but still a lot of even the fintech companies are keeping out of the crypto and the blockchain, and they are still using old-fashioned technologies to innovate, if you understand. A little more question on the edge. How do you view the development going forward? Will these industries more or less merge?
Yeah.
Or converge?
Thank you. I'll say I think they will merge, is the short answer, but a bit longer is I also believe, and we at the whole FinTech Farm team basically believe that the MiCA regulation, the markets in crypto assets regulation, is maybe the most significant thing that has happened on this front of getting TradFi and crypto and blockchain technology to kind of merge. It's really something that kind of we raised our eyebrows, like, wow, the EU is taking this stance, is not taking the what's it called, the like banning it. Instead, they're trying to really understand this technology, trying to tailor regulation to it. Although MiCA has been called like a mini MiFID, and it does use a lot of the same principles as have already been used in previous regulations. There's still a will and kind of even an invitation to the way I at least see it, an invitation for crypto startups, crypto companies to kind of step into this space and work together with TradFi actors. I would say, well, one of the things that kind of this, let's say, this insight or this kind of surprise at the MiCA regulation led us to organize a seminar. We're actually doing an online seminar tomorrow where it's exactly around this question. It's how does like traditional finance kind of view the risks and the opportunities of MiCA? Like, is this an invitation to them? We have like big banks, Nordea, DNB are there. We have law firms. Also EY will be on the one of the speakers, and we have the EU regulators, EBA, ESMA, and then also some great Finnish fintechs, Valega, for example. Also Sven will be there. But we're trying to find this whole range of actors and really try to answer the question, like, is this now when the big banks, when the big financial institutions will accept this technology and want to integrate it and use it, all the best aspects and use cases in their product offering. So yeah, this is what we're really looking forward to and hoping to demystify that in tomorrow's session. So check that out if that's something that interests you as well.
Thank you for your answering the other questions, and maybe then we focus on the future. People have been talking about how shall 1 billion users on the global level get on board. And still, we are in a space that has been moving faster than the internet. Maybe it's important to remember that. But still, we have some hurdles. And what are these hurdles? And what are the way to get more people on board and to be more comfortable with investing and maybe even influence the surroundings? What about you, Mats? You have some thoughts about the future crypto adoption.
Yes, thank you, Morten. So what we've seen in other surveys that we conduct on AI adoption quite recently, both on a global scale and on a Nordic scale, we see that the main barriers to adoption of AI is lack of knowledge, competence, and its lack of, its regulatory and ethical concerns. I think these drivers might also be relevant for the crypto industry, that people look at kind of the future adoption rate dependent on, let's say, the current context. So when people potentially have a lack of knowledge of blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and kind of the applicable use cases currently, they might then look at the future and say, no, I won't invest into this. But I think with markets in crypto assets regulation coming into play in the EU now during 2024, and with corporates, banks, and other, let's say, institutions being more proactive in this space because it's becoming more regulated and it's becoming, let's say, a safer environment for them to play and to develop new solutions around this. I definitely think there will be the infrastructure will grow, and thereby also the use cases within crypto will grow. So perhaps, right, in 10 years' time, there will be lots of people using crypto as terms of infrastructure to do payments or the similar applications, and then by not necessarily understanding that they're using crypto, right? And that was also commented after yesterday's viewing of the Danish report, and I definitely think that's a good point. That for internet as well, you might have lots of e-commerce businesses, you might have lots of applications, but people not necessarily think that they're using a particular technology when they act. And I definitely think that might be the same for crypto coming in the next coming years as well.
On a headlines level, there are a lot of things happening. I mean, we have this ETF wave, which started last autumn. And then we have Larry Fink in BlackRock saying that step 1 is ETF, step 2 is tokenization. And in parallel, we also have banks experimenting with different kinds of blockchain in the infrastructure. And we have the development of stable coins. And you, Jonas, maybe have some thoughts about stablecoins and MiCA going forward.
Yes, so just to kind of also separate somewhat the perception, how the people and companies look at the crypto sector. So I think Bitcoin overall is quite, at least in the Nordics, it's mainly perceived as a kind of asset class and investable products, which the traditional financial institutions are not necessarily at this point in time interested to kind of add those on the investment side or investment offering or allocation. But what they are now focusing with the upcoming MiCA regulation is the stablecoin and payment side, which is more natural for them business-wise. So what we see and hear is that even the Nordic banks are preparing something or testing something on the payments on top of the blockchain rails and so on. So I think that would be the next wave of the adaptation once the MiCA is enforced and it the innovation start gradually happen. So I think the payment side is potentially the one that will bring kind of indirectly at least the masses to or unorganic growth to the sector in the future, because that's basically the use case that the most of the people are interacting in anyway. So I think that's the one to be highlighted from the MiCA regulation, and once we get the unified regulation, of course, the scalability is there for the innovation as well. So,
Sven, you also have perhaps some thoughts about the people from the more traditional finance or asset management going into the space. What is your view about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing is always looking at professional traders, but even the day-to-day, Mats mentioned briefly about it becoming more mainstream and getting corporates into that, not only banks and so on using that as infrastructure, but actually regular companies. And what Jonas was saying here about Mike and the stable coins is quite on point with that kind of development we would be seeing, right? Actually having regular companies within e-commerce or your hairdresser accepting crypto. I was in Tallinn not very long ago, where my Uber drivers had a message on the back saying, I also accept crypto as payment. And we do see this probably becoming a trend. We've seen law firms, for example, in Finland who accept cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin mainly then as a payment. We see this coming into the equity for companies as well that wouldn't necessarily be in that space. So we are already seeing these parts moving, but I think that with MiCA, this will really become a much safer place, right? It will be a spot where one can actually use crypto not only for pure investments, but even anything related to regular payments and equity within companies as well.
Thomas, this is also what you are working on inside of your company. So maybe you have some thoughts about the family offices, institutional investors, the regular old-fashioned banks and finance.
Yeah, very shortly, what Jonas and Sven were talking about the stablecoin market and especially the MiCA is that, of course, like we currently have in the Eurozone, we have the project from the ECB to launch a retail central bank digital currency. So we are already seeing this kind of monetary regime competition that basically also some banks probably need to form consortiums if they're afraid that digital euro would somehow impact their bottom line. When it comes down to the professional side, I think that they have a very different kinds of contexts when they use digital assets or they want to have crypto asset allocation. We have in the Nordics, also in Finland, we have a lot of professional investors and they are drawn by the volatility because, of course, Bitcoin is a great asset to trade because it has so much volatility. And when you have a lot of volatility, that will also drive a lot of liquidity to the market, and more liquidity begets more liquidity. So, for example, the current situation where it's told that the volatility is not like so high anymore, it doesn't mean that the volatility is not there. So it will need this kind of dual-side education, not only for the professional investors to understand that how the speculation will end up to this kind of monetization, but we have not seen in our own lifetime that there is a totally new asset class with a unique characteristics and it is being monetized on front of our eyes. That is totally unknown. And when you are trying to have that kind of heuristic, it will break your models. So you need to have a very different kinds of mindset. And at the retail side, it's sometimes I feel that a 20-year-old retail side investor is so much more informed about the crypto assets than a professional that has 20 or 40 years of experience. So I think that there is also kind of a symmetry between the people.
We are soon going towards the end of this stream and this event. I just wanted to ask Anders about, for instance, future surveys. Is there anything to do on the institutional side? Maybe that is harder because it's part of the demographics to get the right people to answer a question. But what about the utility challenge that Thomas said, that a coin is not a coin? I mean, a crypto is not a crypto because the use cases can be different. Do we need to know more about the use cases?
I definitely think that would be super interesting to know more about it. I also think we would be able to kind of guess the results. In the Norwegian survey in the previous years, we have asked the crypto owners whether they use NFTs or DeFi. And what we see when we ask that question is that about 15% to 20% of the crypto owners have also dabbled with NFTs and DeFi. If you just talking to people in the Nordics that own cryptocurrencies, you will find some, and that's a very low percentage, that have used stable coins for international transfers. I think you will find, because at least that's what we find when we ask about it. And you will also have some crypto natives. Those are very few that actually do send crypto, but the general public don't use crypto as payments. And when we also have this 15 to 20% DeFi NFT share, I think it's safe to say that most of the Nordic crypto owners, they view crypto as an investment.
Thank you very much, all of you guys. Thank you to Lucas, to Jonas, to Sven, to Thomas, and to Robert that took part and gave us a view of this from a more national view. And of course, you are also, most of you guys, international players. But it gives a more rich view of the trends in the Nordics and right now Finland in specific. This event will be available as a recording, and tomorrow at 9 o'clock we have 1.5 hours for the Norwegian and the Nordic event. And then we have a lot of exciting guests also participating in the panel discussion. So just follow the events and the stream or the post from Kuiper, and you will then see that it could be a really, really exciting moment to take part of. And it will start, of course, then with the presentation of the Norwegian result from Mats and Anders. Then we will go over to the Nordic results as an overview, and then we will try to make some sense out of this. So thank you very much then, and have a great day.
Thank you, Morten.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.